Assalamualaikum and a very good day, everyone. I am Dr. Rosita Ibrahim from Pusat Citra University, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. So the title of my presentation today is Looking Back to Look Ahead, Reflections on Community Engagement in Tasik Chini. The presentation will be divided into five parts, which is the first one is the introduction, the second one is the first theme on personal dimension, the second one is on institutional dimension, and the third one professional dimension, and that will be followed by a conclusion and list of references. To begin with, let me explain the purpose of this presentation. So the first aim is to reflect on my own personal experiences and observations as an academic staff working with Orang Asli community in Tasik Chini. And the second one is to understand these experiences and observations in view of having better plans for future community engagement programs, especially those related to academic staff. And I would like to share the journey thus far that we have, myself and my teammates. We actually started working with the Orang Asli of Tasik Chini during the flood episode in December 2013, when Dr. Sri Mushrifah Idris actually invited us to join in because of the need to have community researchers working directly with the people of Tasik Chini. And our team came in with our leader at that time, Dr. Madeline Burma. And the team consists of multidisciplinary background. We have lecturers from Faculty of Social Science, we have lecturers from Faculty of Economics, and myself from Pusat Citra, or Center for Liberal Education. So let me also define what community engagement means, at least for the purpose of this presentation. So broadly, we can say that community engagement refers to any level of participation or involvement with the community, from providing information to the community, consultation, co-production, delegating of powers, to full community control or empowerment. Other terms used for community engagement include community service, community participation, service learning. So depending on one's field of study, some field might have a more specific meaning, otherwise we'll be using the terms interchangeably. So why is community engagement important nowadays? So this is actually in answer to the gaining interest, or in response to a call for practicality, reality, and serviceability of universities. So the universities should give back for the societal well-being. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, the discussion in this presentation will be divided into three broad themes. The first one is the personal dimension. This relates to the psychology, identity, internal conflicts of the individual lecturer, researcher, or academic staff. The second one, institutional dimension. This one relates to the internal factors within the university, including relationship, organizational dynamics, and also culture. And the third one, the professional dimension, relates to the factors external to the university, involving the organizational dynamics, culture, and management of relationships with stakeholders outside the university. My presentation will be more for the personal and the institutional dimension. I'll just touch briefly on the professional dimension. Okay, so let's go to the first theme, which is the personal dimension. So in this section, I would like to share the personal experiences relating to the various modes of community engagement activities that I myself, as well as my team members, actually have been doing for all these years. So of course, the first one is related to the research. So our team actually involved with a number of research with the community, so community-based researchers. So we usually adopted the ABCD kind of approach in doing our research. That means the asset-based community development, or we do asset mapping for the Orang Asli community. Asset mapping is an approach whereby we explore and we actually learn bottom up from the community themselves. What are the things, what are their strengths that we can actually understand, and we can use that for the programs that relates to what their need and what their wants are. And of course, apart from ABCD or asset mapping research, we also have done quite a bit on the research about tourism and the Orang Asli of Tasik Chini. As you know, Tasik Chini was famous for as a tourism spot like 10 years back, but we still think that tourism should be part of the main economic activities for the Orang Asli. So we do think that research on tourism is still very much relevant nowadays. The second part of our task or our work with the Orang Asli is of course related to teaching and learning. So in this regard, we have lots of fieldworks and service learning whereby our students come in from various faculties doing fieldwork and community work with the Orang Asli. And for service, we have done quite a bit on the on helping with the community. We did a few gotong royong tree planting activities, and of course, we come down for assistance during flood season, and also doing some training for tourism. So that the Orang Asli have some basic skills in being a tour guide or being a host for tourists. Okay, so what have we learned thus far? So the first point is that related to the academic career path. So community engagement needs to be in line with the key performance index requirements for academics. Yeah, because this is, in the end, the KPI is something very much important for academics. So we need to tailor the community engagement programs and the KPI so that will be going hand in hand rather than in conflict with each other. The second point is that in community engagement, there is very much need to have a multidisciplinary team so that we can better understand the big picture related to the community. And in this regard, different faculties, different expertise should work together, complementary and not competing with each other. And the third point relates to the funding and also logistic arrangements. As we know, getting funds is not that easy, and usually the funding for community engagement programs comes from research grants, and of course there are restrictions in utilizing the funds. So as such, some of the activities cannot be sustained due to lack of funding and due to end of the research grant. And also in this regard, the researchers need to keep on trying to get more grants so that we can have a more sustainable activities with the community. And of course, for logistic, we are blessed to have PPTC giving us all the good support every time we come down to Tasik Chini. The fourth point, which is I think very much important relating to community engagement activities, is that the researchers or the academic staff doing the community engagement activities must be passionate. It's not something that everyone would love to do, but for those who would love to do the community engagement, I can see that most of us are very passionate about working with the people. And that should be the internal motivation that drives those who actually are involved with community engagement activities. It should be a long-term commitment rather than a touch and go kind of approach. And of course, we need to listen to the needs of the community, and we have to also be aware of the differences in the way that we do things between us as academics and the orang asli. Okay, so let's go to the second theme, which is related to actually the first one. This is an extension of that. So we look into the institutional dimension. And for this part, I would like to share about the operational aspects of community engagement and the role of PPTC with regard to our research work and our teaching and service work as community researchers in PPTC and for the community of Orang Asli Tasik Chini. So for the first part, as we know, PPTC is a living lab, so this is actually a very good opportunity whereby PPTC is the platform for partnership with the community and also other stakeholders. Then, of course, with that also we need a multidisciplinary research, which is at the core of PPTC. The researchers are always multidisciplinary, and of course, for the benefit of Tasik Chini as a biosphere reserve, and also for the people of Tasik Chini. I would like to share also, we usually have the data quality, that data on water quality, and that is something that PPTC will always share with the Orang Asli so that we know, because we're sharing the same lake in the end. Yeah. So the second one, the teaching part, PPTC provides support for teaching and learning and for various faculties, social science and also the science faculties. And also we have other than UKM who actually come down to do their teaching and learning as well as of course the research. And teaching and learning is best when it comes both ways, whereby the students learn from the Orang Asli and the Orang Asli learn from the students. So this two-way kind of teaching is very much something that we should enhance, we should promote in future plans with community engagement. The third one is on service. So the assistance of PPTC in the Chini Biosphere Reserve at the core zone together with the Orang Asli is actually a good opportunity to bridge between UKM and other stakeholders. And of course, for PPTC, we have IECSBR to support us very much in terms of physical and in terms of funding. Yeah, we have from a little cabin a few years ago, and now we have a very nice PPTC complex. Thank you to IECSBR for that support. And also we have good connection with industries such as Salcom Aziata, who actually came in with the whole team to have community work and also contributed Sri Gumom Cybercube in PPTC. And this is actually for the Orang Asli as well. And we do also have edutourism activities whereby PPTC bring in the tourists and we work together with the Orang Asli tour guide that we actually train and learn from each other, and we do the edutourism activities together. Okay, so about the lessons learned. So as I mentioned earlier, PPTC and Orang Asli are actually neighbors, very close neighbors, living together at the Tasik Chini Biosphere Reserve core zone. So in this regard, as neighbors, there should be mutual respect, mutual trust. It's very important for both parties, I would say. Yeah. So of course, we do have differences, especially in ways of doing things, but with communication, I guess that can be minimized, the barriers can be minimized, and also we can work together. So the principle that is ideal in this regard is actually working together. So as academic, as researchers, we work with the community, with the Orang Asli, and not only for the Orang Asli. So if we use that concept of working together, then that should be a more sustainable relationship whereby it will be two ways kind of relationship. And then, of course, having said that, we need to have more engagement and also involvement at every level of the programs that we actually plan for the Orang Asli. In this regard, it would be best to discuss with their various various level of the Orang Asli community, so that we have a more bottom-up kind of information whenever we want to have programs together with them. And also PPTC's roles in maintaining the university leadership to continuously engage and committed to the existing partnership with the community is also crucial. So PPTC plays the role as connecting as the bridge between the many stakeholders, and also trying to cater for the many roles in teaching and learning, in services, as well as, of course, in research. And of course, another aspect that is in need to be looked into is about leadership and also succession plan for PPTC management and researchers, because we need to have continuous group of researchers working with PPTC and also with the Orang Asli community. So there should be a well-planned succession from the seniors to the juniors groups of researchers as well as leaders at the center. Okay, so the third theme, the professional dimension, this I will not say much because this is really not my this is not really my forte, I would say. So, but anyway, one thing for sure is that we can see the focus of the university for this society is really expanding nowadays as compared to perhaps when I first started with the university. We don't really focus on the society that much, but now we have a more structured, I would say. But perhaps at that time there were also strong societal connection, but in terms of structure, I can say that nowadays the university is more structured and more well planned towards a committed for society, for community engagement. Yeah. So in research, we can take this opportunity to expand community-based research through partnership with industries as well as government agencies. And also we should also maybe perhaps look seriously into action research kind of approach that addresses the community needs. Yeah. And for teaching and learning, the effort to have service learning or SULAM is a good opportunity to actually blend in the teaching and learning with the services for the community. So this is very much something that we look forward for community researchers. This is a good opportunity whereby we can actually connect the three major KPIs that we have as academic staff: research, teaching, and service into one. Yeah, with SULAM. I hope that this will be more expanded in years to come, and then we can have a more strategic and a more well-planned community engagement that is really interconnected with the three major KPI that we have, which is research, teaching, and service. So, okay, with that, I'll come to the conclusion. And for the conclusion, I would say that a concerted effort between the three dimensions with the aim towards the betterment of the community is something that is really important, and that is something that we can work together to achieve. And learning from each other is also important in terms of community engagement. We work with the community, not for the community, and we need both approach from the bottom up and the top down, and also alignment to the needs of the academic staff and the community. The third point here is that the need to strengthen the role of PPTC as the hub for community engagement programs in Tasik Chini. Of course, we have done a good job, PPTC and the researchers have all done a good job thus far, but that could be enhanced more and we can be even successful. Okay, I would like also to propose this model for a more sustainable community engagement, the ecosystem for sustainable community engagement, which actually connect the three levels that I mentioned earlier, the individual level at the micro level, and the meso level, the institutional level, and of course the macro level or the professional level. And all these three levels should work together hand in hand towards the betterment of the community, and also we learn from the community. So by having this interconnection, learning from each other, from each and every level, that should be the key towards our sustainable community engagement. And of course, for the people of Tasik Chini, we hope that can be the ultimate aim that we should be achieving in years to come. All right, so thank you very much. These are some of the references I use in writing this paper. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Razita, for your sharing. Let us straight away with the next participant, Ms. Sunatra bin Abdullahi. Please welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Sunatra bin Abdullahi. So today I'm going to talk about self-awareness regarding Tasik Chini as biosphere reserve and its importance. Okay, in Peninsular Malaysia, Tasik Chini is the second largest natural lake that is located 100 km away from the state capital of Pahang, which is Kuantan. So with the only barraging of the only Sungai Chini that drains the lake, Tasik Chini is always flooded throughout the year, even during the dry season to encourage the ecotourism. In May 2009, Tasik Chini was declared as the pioneer of biosphere reserve status in Malaysia. It is not easy to receive such recognition, and UNESCO will conduct an audit once every 10 years on all aspects under the biosphere reserve status. The recognition of Tasik Chini as biosphere reservation is to provide a sanctuary for hundreds of freshwater species. So the representation of Tasik Chini in this network means that we are devoted to conserving biological diversity, promoting research and monitoring, as well as seeking to provide model for sustainable development in the service of humankind. According to Professor Datuk Sri Dr. Mushrifah Idris, the former director of UKM Tasik Chini Research Centre, this status allowed them to receive research fund to develop the area, including creating economic spillover to all the local community and also orang asli. Furthermore, this ecosystem conservation is crucial to ensure all the natural goods and services such as timber, food sources, medicinal and also ecotourism attraction are protected and being well managed. The presence and complexity of Tasik Chini's ecosystem make it an infinite asset in terms of aesthetic, heritage, socioeconomic, ecotourism and ecological importance. Okay, so it should and must be preserved as an important heritage to the nation and also future generation. So if we lose it, the loss will be permanent and irrevocable. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sunatra binti Abdullahi. Next, we would like to invite Dr. Ahmad Razi Osman to present on his research, Malaysia Indigenous Bacteria Strain of 4-hexavalent chromium reduction. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum and a good day to everyone. My name is Ahmad Razi, and today I would like to present our research entitled Malaysia Indigenous Bacteria Strain for Hexavalent Chromium Reduction. This project is conducted by a postgrad PhD student supervised by me and co-supervised by my research team member, which is Prof. Engineer Dr. Siti Rozaimah and also Associate Professor Engineer Dr. Hasimi Abu Hassan. Without further ado, let me present our finding for this particular topic. So we have an idea for our research topic to be done, and by that we construct a few research questions that related to current issue. First and foremost, we choose chromium as our topic. First come in our mind is why chromium? Well, as everyone well aware, chromium is one of heavy metals that presents in our environment. Elevation of chromium concentration in the environment will lead to severe human toxicity. Some cases report to cause premature fetus development in a pregnant woman. Secondly, excess of chromium may interrupt in human body function, such as kidney failure and liver failure. Last but not least, a medical report claimed that chromium can be a potential factor for lung cancer. Now, our second thought is that why Malaysia? This is due to this fact. There were numerous reports on elevation in chromium level, especially in Malaysia's water catchment area, like in Bayan Lepas Penang, Sungai Langat Selangor, Sungai Perlis and West Port Selangor. By that, we take an initiative to find a cure for this problem, with one objective in our mind is to bring back the nature to where it should be. This picture is very unpleasant for an eye view. Now, treating pollutants in the environment can have many techniques. We, however, would like to focus on bio-based technique called bioremediation, using indigenous bacteria isolate from Malaysia. This technique is not new in Malaysia. However, the knowledge about this is still scarce. Few local bacteria isolates have been identified previously by others. Some of it is Acinetobacter radioresistans, Bacillus sp, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and also Staphylococcus aureus. In this case, we use new isolate to compare the performance of new isolate with the previous one. Isolation and sampling was done in Tasik Cempaka, Bangi. Sampling site near metal industry area was done, and 15 isolates were identified to be resistant to chromium. However, only one isolate was chosen based on the ability to withstand the highest chromium concentration. This isolate was then undergo 16S rDNA molecular analysis to determine the genus of the bacteria. Phylogenetic map was conducted, and this isolate was identified to belong to Bacillus genus. The bacteria sequence was deposited to GenBank with an accession number shown in this slide. Later, to optimize the performance of the bacteria, response surface methodology was used to find an optimum condition for the bacteria. Box Banken analysis for three factors, which is pH, exposure time, and chromium initial concentration, was chosen. From the analysis, we found that optimum condition for chromium reduction is at pH 6 and initial concentration at 50 mg per liter, and times exposure is in 3 days. Although we succeed in determining the optimum condition, this research is by far from actual application. Tons of fundamental research need to be focused and done in order to achieve our main goal. However, this initial data can be a stepping stone for a future advance in bioremediation technology. This research may be a spark to an numerous technology in bioremediation such as cell immobilization, enzyme immobilization, or even a hybrid technology by incorporating bacteria with a terrestrial or aquatic plant. By that, I would like again to thank to my research team for their helps and endless support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Razi, for your impressive presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, activities such as mining, agriculture, and illegal logging conducted around Tasik Chini have been reported to cause water pollution, which involves the release of heavy metals. We believe this same study and approach by using locally isolated microorganisms that resistance with the pollutants could be applied as a green and sustainable treatment. Without further delay, I would like to invite our keynote speaker. Please welcome Dr. Batin Awang Ngalo, Head of Orang Asli Jakun Community Tasik Chini, to share the history of Tasik Chini and overview from the origin. Please welcome.
Dia usul asal jadi Tasik ni kalau orang asli lah, dia panggil celau. Celau ni maknanya perbuatan kita manusia juga. Sebab itu orang asli dia ada pantang larang. Dia ada pantang larang dari segi makannya, dari segi perbuatan, ialah benda-benda lain lah. Kadang-kadang tu budak-budak pun dia tahu juga. Dia main tanah liat, dia buat gambar macam-macam lepas tu dia tahu. Dia kata awaknya tahu, celau. Jadi dia takut celau. Jadi maknanya pantang lah, tak boleh buat tanah liat pun tak boleh buat main-main. Makan begitu juga, tak boleh campur-campur makan. Contohnya ayam tak boleh makan dengan ikan, umpamanya begitulah maksudnya. Dia tak boleh campur-campur makan. Takut celau. Kalau dulunya memang dia meladang daripada menebak, lepas itu menabur rebus, 3 bulan menabur dulu, lepas itu berwakar. Wakar tu dia tunggu masa hujan lah. Masa hujan dia ada kerja gotong royong atau masa dulu orang tua dulu sebut kerja berderau. Kerja berderau ni mana kerja ramai-ramai lah, berfungsi. Nugai padi. Jadi dalam kumpulan itu dia ada bela seekor anjing. Jadi anjing itu ikutlah pergi ke tempat dia nak tanam. Anjing itu menyalak. Dia salak batang kira kayu dah tumbang lama sebelum dia tebang tu mana kayu tu dah tumbang. Jadi seorang panggil kayu membasuh. Mana kayu dia sebelum tebang tu mana dia kayu tu dah ada dah. Kalau salak kayu tu lah. Mana orang buat kerja merugai padi tadi daripada pagi tadi sehinggalah macam sekarang ni sampai ke pukul 12. Di situlah dia nyalak. Jadi tuan dia tu tadi dia heran apa juga anjing tu salah. Jadi pergilah tengok. Pergi tengok. Ada benda ada. Cuma dia salak kayu. Masa dia nak pergi tengok anjing menyalak tadi dia bawa kayu. Kayu yang dia tukai padi tu. Dia cocok lepas kayu. Cocok. Keluar minyak. Lepas tu dia ambil sikit. Dicium. Pun tak ada bau wangi ke bau busuk ke bau minyak. Lepas tu dia cuba rasa sikit. Minyak. Lepas tu dia panggil orang rumah. Minta tengok. Minyak ke air? Orang kata minyak ni. Baik kita ambil lah. Dia ambil bekas. Tak tahu. Cocok ada keluar. Dia ambil balik. Balik tak tahu dia goreng apa benda. Tak tahu. Dia makan. Tengah dia orang masak tu. Datang seorang orang tua. Dia duduk akan jauh sikit. Dia tu nak pergi mandi ke sungai. Dia tengok cucu dia pun ada juga situ. Oh, cerita lah dengan dia. Gini cerita. Dia pergi mandi ke sungai. Balik mandi tu. Dia tengok cucu dia pun makan dia dah. Budak dia tahu benda. Nampak orang makan, dia nak makan juga. Lepas dia orang makan tu tak tahu, tak berapa lama daripada tu. Gelap. Macam malam. Muncullah seorang orang tua juga. Bukan orang tua apa ni. Mungkin orang tua penunggu. Di halaman rumah lah. Dia kata teruklah kita. Dia bawa tongkat dia. Pacak. Tongkat dia. Teruklah kita. Kalau macam ini memang teruk. Dia kata saya ni datang kira mendorong. Kalau boleh lah. Datang ni kata cabut tongkat saya. Yang saya pajak. Pergi lah cabut. Tak lepas. Cabut tak lepas. Cabut sudah bukan. Bukannya buyuk sangat dia pajak. Tak lepas. Dia kata tak dapat saya nak nak tolong. Dia kata, kalau tak lepas. Kata dia suruh ramai-ramai, terus. Baru tahu dulu. Macam inilah dia kata. Kalau ada ayam bulu putih, gitu. Tak dapat ayamnya, dapat bulu pun cukup lah, dia kata. Selai bulu. Oh, bicara, tanya situ, tanya. Ada juga. Awak, dia kata. Tak dapat saya nak tolong. Nampak saya, dia kata, saya kena cabut lah. Tungkak saya sayang. Dia kata, saya kena cabut. Cabut. Cabut tu cuai. Oh, situ keluar, sini keluar, semua keluar. Oh, lari lah. Untuk hilang. Itu kita nampak berceruk, situ berceruk sini. Cakap mana dia dapat orang tu, mananya tenggelam situ. Cakap itu lagi tasik. Itu kita nampak berceruk, situ berceruk, sini berceruk. Dia kejar, air kejar orang. Orang yang buat salah. Itu orang tua tu tadi, orang tua yang mandi tadi. Dia dokong cucu dia. Dokong cucu dia tu, dia pergi ke sana. Ke tempat pangah tu. Dia dokong cucu. Tapi masalah tak juga. Sekarang ini dah tanah lembut dah. Dia nak nyampai ke sana tu pun, aduh, dia tak larat dah. Sampai dia, semua panggil jolong Pak Nyiru tu. Sampai situ, dibuang cucu dia. Memang sayang cucu dia. Tapi apa perlu buat? Cucu dia buat salah juga. Dibuang. Lepas tu dia sapah lah, dia kata, cukup lah, dia kata, sangka ini. Ambil lah, dia kata. Jadilah, dia kata. Itu cerita. Jadi tasik. Orang panggil telau. Kami cuba nak mempertahankan tapi tak lepas. Jadi kami berharaplah kepada pihak yang berkuasa negeri, kalau bolehnya setakat itu ajalah. Jangan lagi orang kata sambung lagi. Sebabnya kerosakan tasik ni, kalau dulu kami penduduk tasik sini, mana ada bekalan air, kami guna air tasik, mandi, minum, guna air tasik. Tak ada bekalan air. Kalau tahun 60 dulu, tahun 50, tahun 60, memang air tasik ni lah guna. Mandi ke, minum ke. Tapi sekarang ini kami dah tak berani nak guna dah. Sebabnya tak tahu ada apa dalam air tu. Pihak yang berkuasa maknanya mempertahankan Pelombong, Balak, mungkin Kalau benda-benda itu semua dah tak ada lagi dah, mungkin gamaknya kok dia nak pulih balik semula. Sebabnya benda-benda itu semua dah tak ada. Kerana ikan dia pupus, ikan jelawat, ikan kelesur, ikan belida, memang
tak nampak dah kan?
Tak ada dah, tak dapat dah.
Tak dapat.
Dia kalau ada, kita mancing ke, kita nak pukat ke, ada dapat. Sekarang ni tak ada. Dah pupus dah. Yang ada lagi kan rumah adalah, itu pun tak berapa sangat lah. Tak berapa banyak. Jadi kadang-kadang dia pudih. Kita nampak dia mati tu. Kita tengok dia ada berlubang. Dia usuk dia ni berlubang. Tak tahu mana. Mati.
Terima kasih kami ucapkan kepada Tok Batin atas perkongsian yang telah diberikan. Tasik Chini yang dahulunya menjadi sumber utama air bersih untuk kehidupan seharian masyarakat setempat, namun mereka kini tidak lagi berani menggunakannya. Seandainya masalah ini tidak dapat diatasi, tidak mustahil kita akan gagal untuk mempertahankan status Tasik Chini sebagai rizab biosfera. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next agenda. Please enjoy our next video sent by Adik Ahmad Syahaziq Fitri bin Ahmad Sarafuddin and Petra Danish Mukri bin Ahmad. Please welcome.
Hi guys, hola. We are now presenting you guys this video about our work, our responsibility. Every year on 5th June, the whole world celebrates Environmental Day with the aim of raising the level of awareness of the whole community on environmental issues, as well as enhancing their action and involvement in any changes that occur in the environment. Various programs and activities relate to efforts to learn, protect, preserve, and conserve the environment are held, such as tree planting events, environmental awareness camp, environmental team runs, speech and coloring competition, as well as various activations and campaigns that all emphasize the need to preserve the environment around, including this video. You must know that under Section 34B of the Environmental Quality Act 1974, the maximum fine is 500,000 and imprisonment not exceeding 5 years can be imposed on those found guilty of pollution. Guys, don't do that. Yes, I agree. Do you know why? Yes.
Thank you very much, Adit Shahazik and Petra Danish. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to welcome our next presenter. Please welcome Dr. Haslawati Baharudin from Fisheries Research Institute FRI, Glamilemi, Negeri Sembilan, Malaysia, to present her research on Tasik Chini water quality variability, a review. Please welcome.
Okay, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aslawati Barudin. I'm from the Department of Fisheries, working in Fisheries Research Institute, Glamilemi, Jelebu Negeri Sembilan. My talk today will be on the water quality variability in Tasik Chini. It's a review. My presentation is a simple one. It's about introduction and objective literature review on the water quality literatures. And lastly, I would recommend some conclusion and recommendation. As we all know, the background situation for Tasik Chini, as you can see from here, is Tasik Chini, how beautiful it is in 1960 and how bad it is nowadays. If you can remember, there are beautiful place, there are beautiful scenery there with a big lotus, mirror image against clear water in the cloud forest at Bukit Ketaya, and some strong healthy forests emergent in the Tasik area. Majority of the global ecosystem, especially the freshwater ecosystem, are threatened by multiple anthropogenic stresses. Therefore, understanding on the resilience and recovery to environmental changes are an important strategy for biodiversity conservation and ecosystem services. Tasik Chini, the Malaysian's second largest natural lake, was recognized as UNESCO Biosphere Reserve in November 2009 and is connected to Sungai Pahang by Sungai Chini. Whatever impact are interrelated. Tasik Chini was famous for its biological resources with diverse flora and fauna, species of plants, birds, plankton, amphibians, reptiles, including endangered mammal, the tiger, and also 33 species of freshwater fishes, including the endangered kelisa. The Sclerobagus formosus. And Tasik Chini also provide many ecosystem services, including fisheries to the Jakun tribe, indigenous people, and the fishing is their sole economic revenue. The objective of this presentation is to estimate water quality changes and the impacts to the lake environment, and then propose management plan for the lake surveillance according to the previous literatures. From these coming tables, we compile studies related to water quality done in Tasik Chini from the last 20 years. The green column shows the water quality changes in wet season and the parameters and issues related to it, while pink columns indicate the heavy metal studies done. Majority of the studies recorded the high parameters reading in wet season. Those parameters are total suspended solid, total dissolved solids, conductivity, turbidity, and ammonic nitrogen, while low dissolved oxygen was detected in wet season but high in dry season. For heavy metals, the concentration of heavy metal varies again, especially and temporary, and it's again with high precipitation in wet season. Main metal detected are plumbum, cuprum, and cadmium. Even though they are in low concentration, but still toxic to the animals and the ecosystem. Serious sedimentation issues, especially occur during wet season also, where major sediment contribute by land use activities and have been recorded. And another threat of pollution is the bacterial pollution that occur mainly in areas with settlement orang asli and also human activities, especially in Gumom, Mampiteh, Jemberau, and also Malay. While comparing selected and important water quality parameters, we found that biological oxygen demand and chemical oxygen demand readings are between class 2 and 3 according to water quality, national water quality standard. pH level is acceptable around class 1 to 4. However, total suspended solid, ammonium nitrogen and dissolved oxygen shows great range and variation between season and location. The reason for this may be due to the sampling time and location. But we did not separate between seasons in this compilation. Another important parameter is the temperature. There are some variation observed and some impact also according to season. From other studies, high temperature will cause eutrophication and may induce unfavorable condition to aquatic animals and plants. While variation in conductivity and turbidity also impact the ecosystem health, which is related to primary production of plankton and other food chain in the aquatic system. Macrophytes and plants are also affected by this parameter. In this table, we can see that nitrate level was detected as toxic. The value is 2.9 micromilligram per liter, and also sulfate. These two nutrient pollution coming from the unsustainable agriculture system. As the conclusion and suggestions, for conclusion, in general, the lake reported to have class 2 water quality standard and varies temporally and spatially. However, more recently, water quality depleted in some locations, further degraded to class 3 in Jemberau River and Chini River, while some other areas have worse water quality with bacterial pollution and susceptible for fish farming, not suitable for human consumption and swimming. Most polluted locations are Gumom, Malay, Jemberau, and some of the feeder rivers. There are also great variations in some critical parameters, for example, TSS, ammonium nitrogen, dissolved oxygen, turbidity, and even temperature that could impact the species and ecosystem health. The high impact of changes in water quality occur when the lake receives flooded water from Sungai Pahang. High concentration of some parameters with low dissolved oxygen, and this is serious sedimentation issue. Therefore, some authors suggested to minimize or stop mining activities during the wet or rainy season, because major sedimentations contributed from land use activities, and this will increase the TSS water turbidity. weir existence that trap the sediment movement, backwater flowing from Sepang and river bank erosion. When this sedimentation occurs, it can be it can affect the Pahang River Basin itself. So another suggestion is to control the sediment, gazetting area for conservation, modify the weir, applying of a system called monkey chick for flushing high sediment and controlling riverbank erosion. Zoning or ecosystem-based management can also be applied for fisheries and other activities. And finally, a holistic intersectoral approach by implementing the integrated lake basin management should also include Pahang River Basin. So, as a final word, as a national heritage, Tasik Chini must be properly managed. And all the best to us for and it's everyone's responsibility. It's everybody's hope. Let us pray hard for the revival of Tasik Chini again. Thanks for your attention, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you Dr. Haslawati for your sharing. The warning bells are loud and clear. The study clearly shows that Tasik Chini is facing a serious problem and genuine action need to be taken. Otherwise, Tasik Chini could turn into a dead lake due to its pollution in any time. Without delay, let's get here last but not least youth platform participant, Miss Nur Hidayahko from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia.
Going back and forth, waiting for her to come back. Days, weeks, even months went by. Yet, no signs of giving up, no regret for this waiting. More efforts and trust were put in the process. Only one thought running in our mind: why did she leave us? We missed looking at her wearing her usual cute little pink dress, dancing with a smile full of purity on her face, as if there's nothing bugging her. We should have realized sooner. Still, that one thought running in our mind: why did she leave us? Not a single note or warning was given. Or maybe it's just us who did not see the signs given. Maybe she gave us the sign for months or years. Maybe she has been asking for our help for a long time. Yet, here we are still wondering the same thought. Why did she leave us? Maybe we were just overreacting. Maybe she just went for a vacation. Maybe she just wanted to clear up the mess in her head. Maybe she's going to come back very soon. But why are we still having that same one thought? Why did she leave us? Or maybe her crown was too heavy for her. Or maybe she hates how dirty her castle is. Or maybe she's tired of giving birth to so many children. Maybe she wants to run from her responsibility. Oh, wait, I think I found the answer to that one same thought. I think I know why she left us. We are the one who seized her crown. Her only castle was being exploited by us. We did not take care of her children. We are the ones who make her run from her responsibility. We don't deserve her. Maybe she realized her self-worth. That's why she chose to leave. We will give your crown back. We will be more responsible in taking a very good care of your castle. We will take good care of you and your children. We won't be that selfish anymore. Come back, please. We missed you. Please don't leave us, dear Lotus.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nurul Hidayahko. Ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, I would like to welcome our next presenter. Please welcome Dr. Muaz Muhammad Zaini Makhtar from University Science Malaysia to present on his research effect of different type of soil area, soil depth, and pre-treatment on electricity generation using membraneless microbial fuel cell. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very pleasant morning I bid to all. My name is Muaz bin Muhammad Zaini Makhtar and I come from Bioprocess Divisions Technology, School of Industrial Technology, University of Science Malaysia. Today I would like to present my project entitled Effect of Different Type of Soil Areas. Here are the contents: introduction, problem statement, literature review, research objective, methodology, result and discussion, and lastly conclusion. Okay, we begin with the statistic. Our country, Malaysia, has been heavily dependent on conventional fossil resources, which we got about out of 88.4%. We are relying on fossil fuel, and we can see clearly Malaysia is also one of largest CO2 gases emitter in Southeast Asia, about 236.5 metric tons. This is about fourfold compared to 1990 at 56.6 metric tons only. Actually, we are really relying on non-renewable energy. We have over here oil, coal, natural gas, and this is non-renewable energy. And because it's also reflect to the global warming and greenhouse gases emission, thus we need to find the alternative. For our information, we have about 8,143 megawatts of total renewable energy, and this is a good thing, and we are really on the track by looking at the statistic about 10 years period times. Okay, let's see the statistic. Okay, from 1998 we are moving about 10 years, 2018, we can see about fourfold or threefolds we are managed to move from non-renewable energy towards renewable energy, and this is a very good improvement of our energy sector in Malaysia. So right now, what are problem statements in my study? So far we have the first one, greenhouse gases emission, as I mentioned just now, and it's totally reflect to the non-renewable energy resources we are relying right now, and it's reflect to the global warming, and the price of the fossil fuel right now is uncertainty and it's keep increasing, and so that's we need to find the alternative, and we are looking for microbial fuel cell. The second one, we realize the potential energy which is coming from unseen soil. So basically 3 areas are being selected, and this will become the carbon source in our project. The third one, we have lack information on the parameter condition. What are the parameter? It is a soil location, soil depth, and the pre-treatment. So all these parameters will be implemented in microbial fuel cell. So what is microbial fuel cell? Basically, microbial fuel cell is a device which using microorganism as biocatalyst in oxidizing organic and convert it into become electricity and generation. In our case, we see over here the substrate in the soil, so microbes will degrade the carbon source and electron. The electron will move towards the anode and pass along a wire and complete the circuit after the current moving to the cathode. So from here we have the different potential, and the high voltage will produce. At the left side, we can see over here, this is the vessel of microbial fuel cell in our lab. Air cathode, membraneless, and mediatorless. So people are looking for many types of substrates. This is for your information. They already went into activated sludge itself, wastewater, enriched with acetate, swine wastewater, beer wastewater, and in our case we are looking for residential, non-residential, and palm oil plantation soil. So there are plenty of microbial fuel cell configuration they are using, and in our case we are using one chamber, mediatorless, membraneless, graphite, and cathode. Why we using membraneless? Because we would like to reduce the cost, as the membrane itself, some kind like Ultratrax and Nephyon is so expensive in the cost. So the significance of this study is clearly we are looking at the substrates. We are focusing on three areas. The parameter, we are looking at soil depth, soil area, different pretreatments, and previously they are looking electrode distance, moisture content, and pH. MFC conditions, previously they are using many types, single, two chambers, flat, and we are looking at the most cheap and economical microbial cell. Okay, straightforward. There are three objectives. The first one, we would like to know the composition of the selected soil. The second one, we would like to know the effect of soil area, soil depth, and pretreatments on reflect to the voltage, biomass, and substrate degradations. The third one, we would like to assess the voltage and power generations inside the microbial cell. Okay, here is the methodology. The first one, we collect the sample from 5 areas. Then we do the proximate analysis using AS and ICP OES to get macro micronutrients, what are inside the soil. Then we implement the parameters, soil area, soil depth, in order to look at the power generations. This is using digital multimeter. And the last objective, we would like to assess the power generation. Again, we are using digital multimeter, and also we are focusing on the how much carbon being removed, as this is the bioremediation part, or the efficiency of MFC in the sense to do the treatments. And we would like to know too about the growth of the electrogenic bacteria. Okay, this is the device that I mentioned just now in order to know the composition. For the biomass identification, we are using UV spectrometer in monitoring the biomass of the electrogenic bacteria. And we are using COD digester to determine the carbon source by looking at the chemical oxygen demand value. From there, we know how much carbon being consumed by the electrogenic bacteria. Okay, for the power, we would like to use using the multimeter, digital multimeter, and we are using several resistors in order to get a different value of the power. So thus we know the best optimum power density, as the external resistance equal to internal resistance will produce the highest power generation. And we can see clearly over here we have 3 regions. First, activation losses. We have a second losses over here, we call it ohmic losses, and the last one is concentration losses. So I will explain in the next slide soon. Okay, so this is the experimental design. Firstly, we would like to select the best soil locations. Later on, we proceed the best soil location into several types of soil depth. Later on, we do the pre-treatments with different kind of solutions, tap water, activated slush, in order to moisturize the microbial cell. And later on, we monitor the power generation and the COD removal. Okay, here are the results. The soil location physical observation, we can see from non-residential area is far from water source, and it can see clearly dry. It's the sample soil is collected at open place, exposed to sunlight, and the color of the soil is light in color. While residential soil, we can see is collected nearby plant or plantation, shaded area, and moderately moist. And lastly, agriculture soil, palm oil plantations, it is also being called peatland, shaded area, and pretty dark in color. Okay, from table 1, show the areas that sample were taken and nutrient compositions respectively. Palm oil plantation is also known as agriculture, rich in nutrients because it's also got obtained fertilizer that was supplied to the palm oil tree for the growth. It also contains higher amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, while data of residential area is higher than non-residential area was due to the human activity, such as cooking, waste disposal, contribute to the macro micronutrients. But at non-residential area, the soil is really dry and not having any additional nutrients coming. Here is the composition of palm oil meal activated sludge, which being supplemented with soil during the pre-treatment. Clearly, so many nutrients were present, and all of this might contribute to the development of cell structure, hence increase the biomass population inside the microbial cell. Thus, this reflect to a higher power generation. For the objective number 2, effect the soil on voltage generation, the raw soil from each area straightforward implemented in the microwave fuel cell and the voltage were monitored. The highest voltage was obtained from pump obtention with 86.25 millivolt, while the least voltage generated from the non-residential, which was 49.2. We can say over here, according to Briggs 2007, it stated that palm plantation soil was actually a peatland where it contained huge storage of carbon. And from Rao 2010 also reported that microorganisms could assimilate various organic compounds to make new cell wall material. So does this reflect to the good growing process in the microwave cells, and later on is provide a high voltage to the microwave cell. Relying on this fact, the palm oil soil was selected to further the study for the impact of different soil depth. It was found that higher the soil depth, lower was the voltage and power generated. You can see over here, this is the 5 inch, this is 25 inch, 49s, and the 5 inch produced 86. So meaning that we can see, according to Bullen 2006 also, the higher the EB population of the bacteria, the more electron were transferred between the electrodes. And Alter 2003 stated the topsoil which depth about 1 to 5 inches soil contain the highest concentration and greatest diversity of bacteria. So this is the reason why the topsoil or 5 inch is the best contribution towards the voltage generation. Okay, for the objective number 2, correlation between biomass and voltage generation, we can see over here the increment of EB biomass had increased voltage in microwave fuel cell, proving that both EB biomass and voltage was growth associated. The oxidation of organic compound by EB at anode released electron, while the reduction of oxygen at the cathode had created a high redox potential, thus record a high voltage. This is proven biomass increase at treated foam sludge, and over here also treated with foam sludge is the best voltage recorded. Okay, for the last objective, the assessment of power, we can see over here, pre-treated with foam sludge is about 1.01 milliwatts, and pre-treated with tap water 0.33, and the least one control condition recorded 0.04. And just I mentioned just now, we are clearly having 3 regions. We can see here the drop first, the flat seconds, and the drop the third one. Same here, the trends, drop first, flats, and drop gains. And clearly can be saw in the last control. We have the first region, we call it activation losses. We have the second region, ohmic losses, and the concentration losses. The first region we can say is could be due to the energy losses as heat during initiation of oxidation or reduction reactions, and energy lost through the transfer of electron from the terminal protein of bacterial cell to the anode surface. To overcome these activation losses, it is necessary to rise temperature. Maybe in the future study, the microwave cell should increase the temperature, thus the bacteria can grow well, reduce the activation losses. While the second one, ohmic losses, it is recommended to have to reduce the distance between electron and anode. Later on from here, the proton can easily transmit the protons and anode electrons from anode to cathodes, thus complete the circuit faster. The last region, because the polarization concentration losses, so we can counter it by having aeration over here at anode, so later on all the electrons can be cooked by the process. Okay, we can see from the soil activated sludge is remove the highest removal of COD, substitution, and soil conditions with control is the last one. And this is just now power mentions. This is the highest power density. Why we need to divide by surface area? From having divide by surface area of anode, then we can compare to other microwave fuel cell statistic or power, then it's more comparable. Okay, so we would like to know the conclusions. As the conclusion, we can see we managed to achieve the first objective, the composition of soil, and the second one we managed to see the effect. We got The 5-inch the best also contribute to the highest CDE removal. And the third one, we managed to assess the voltage and power productions, which 1.3 milligram per kilograms for the BMS, 158.43 is for the power generation. And lastly, we can say the agriculture is the best soil for MKBV cell, and the electrogenic bacteria growth affect the voltage generations and power generation. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muaz, for your presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, microorganism is always an interesting subject to be studied. How amazing that these minute organisms have so much potential that can be harnessed. We thought that these small workers could be used to produce energy such as microbial fuel cell. Even microbial fuel cell based soil is not expensive to construct and maintain. Many variables can be explored to increase the efficiency. Thank you again.